I'm sure in the past videos you've seen these Wharfedale speakers in my workshop here in the background. Well, you'll be surprised to know I haven't actually blown them up, but they don't sound very good anymore. But saying that, they are probably, I can't work out exactly how old, but I suspect they're somewhere about 30 to 35 years old. Now, they don't have a number, Wharfedale, Linton or something like that, because they were manufactured for businesses, and in fact these were used in the projection room of some of the multiplex cinemas. Well, I've taken the drive units out of the box and it didn't take very long to find the problem, and you're looking at it. I take off the trim and look at that. The moulding has actually split and it's cracked all the way through. Now that in itself probably won't be the cause of the problem. Well, I've tested this off camera because it's not very exciting to see me put the test meter across it, but it is actually open circuit. So it's physically broken and electrically broken. Now the problem is these are no longer manufactured and there's no way I'm going to get a replacement tweeter. So bring on a different replacement tweeter. Now this one looks remarkably like the monitor audio one which I've just replaced in my main speakers, but it's not. It's nowhere near the specification and made in Taiwan, like all good stuff that can't be made in China is. These are 6 ohm, and I don't know if the original one, I suspect as the whole cabinet was 4 ohms, these were 4 ohms as well. While we're having a look inside, I'll show you the bass unit. It's actually quite a nicely made unit, huge magnet and a nice throw on the cone. I don't know how that's coming out, but nothing wrong with that, that's fine. Now you may ask yourself, why didn't I really notice that the HF had gone? Well, the answer's fairly simple. With such a low-cost speaker, most of the sound goes through the bass mid-range unit, and the crossover network isn't really a crossover network, it's just a single capacitor, I'll show you in a minute, that goes over to the tweeter. So if you imagine this is a frequency response in an ideal world, 20 Hz to 20k, the bass unit will have a response something like this. So it's flat until it gets to about 50 Hz and then it starts to roll off like most speakers do, and then it's relatively flat up to about 3 kilohertz, something like that, and then it naturally rolls off like that. This is 20 kilohertz. So with no crossover, that's the frequency response you will get from that bass driver. And so if you put a tweeter on here, you just want the tweeter to have a response something like that, except flat, of course. I've just drawn it there so you can see it. And you can do that with a single capacitor of about 1.5 microfarad. And so as that bass rolls off, or the treble from the bass unit rolls off, it's picked up on the treble unit. Now, in an ideal world, you'd have a proper crossover. So if we go back to this again, and you wouldn't allow the bass unit to roll off when it feels like it. you'd come along here like this, and then you get to about 3K, and then you would roll off fairly steeply like that, because you don't really want treble going into the bass cone, because at the higher frequencies you get cone breakup and a lot of colorization and distortion. So you purposely want to limit the response of that. And the tweeter then would come in something like this, and then naturally roll off. I don't know if you can see that, my rubbish drawings. And you want the tweeter to have a sharp cutoff, because if you put bass into the tweeter, it will overload it readily and burn the coil out. You can get away with it with a single capacitor on low powers, 10, 20 watts, something like that. But any higher power, you really have to roll that off. But as this is only a little relatively cheap speaker, we're not going to do that. We're just going to put the single capacitor virtually as it is in fact inside the speaker. You're looking here through the bass driver's hole, and down there you can see a little terminal, looks like a terminal block, but that is in fact its capacitor. And everything in this little cheap speaker is glued, so you can't get it out, and that capacitor is in fact open circuit. It just doesn't, there's just no capacitance in it at all. Yes, I've just checked that capacitor and it's completely open circuit. There is nothing, it's not a capacitor anymore. Now, you'll also notice, if I can find something to poke down there, there's a little component here. Let me just bend it over. And that is a fuse, which is perfectly okay, and that's just in series with the tweeter. So all we have, the speaker supply comes in through the terminals on the back panel, everything is thrown at the bass unit, and the tweeter did go via that fuse, and it also went via that capacitor down there. So I can't get that capacitor out without destroying the plastic thingamabig that it goes on. So I'm just going to make a new simple crossover as follows. Now, in an ideal world, I'd measure the faulty capacitor, which is a contradiction in terms if you think about it, because if it's faulty you can't really measure it. But I would estimate it would be about 1.5 to 2 microfarad, maybe even 1 microfarad. So I'm going to use these two capacitors in parallel, which will make 1 microfarad. And through just listening tests, as I said, bearing in mind this is not a hi-fi speaker, it's one step up from, well, quite a big step up from those horrible plastic things that people use for their computers. But this actually doesn't make a bad sound when it's working. So I'm going to do a little bit of woodwork in the garage, because the tweeter doesn't quite fit. Well, the job's all finished, and those of you with good eyesight and a decent monitor will notice there's a screw missing. Well, it's somewhere in this room, and it's one of those things that you put all the screws in one place. I usually put them in a little cup of some sort, but since I had to wait probably 3 weeks for the replacement tweeter, it's sort of got lost. But anyway, it's all working and sounds quite good. Quite pleased with the results. Now, the only thing against this modification is 2 things. The original tweeter, I would suspect, was very efficient, and the new one is 88 dB, which is a little bit on the low side. add together the fact that it's a nominal 6 ohms, whereas the original one, again, an estimate is that it's 4 ohms because the whole cabinet is 4 ohms. So to hear this properly, I need about 3 dB of treble lift, which I just use the computer to do that, and then the sound is sweet and clear and wonderful. But everything on these old repairs is a compromise, as I'm sure you appreciate if you've ever had to do any. Even getting the tweeter to fit in the box was a bit of a nightmare. But I suspect at some point I'll have to do the other cabinet as well, but at the moment that one's working fine, and testing between the two, the difference is fairly minimal. But it's not a hi-fi speaker, and for what I use it for, editing videos, so if my sound on my videos is rubbish, you'll know why.